Welcome into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube and KSL News Radio, your legacy home of the BYU Cougars. It's a BYU football bye week, so it's a perfect time to gear up for the BYU basketball season. 2025-2026 is the most anticipated season in BYU basketball history, and we're diving deep into this BYU basketball team right here on Cougar Tracks with a season preview. Let's dive in with our top story of the day.
The top story of the day. The biggest story in the world of BYU sports right here on Cougar Tracks.
Monday night, BYU basketball tips off the most anticipated season in program history. They'll take on the Villanova Wildcats. 7:30 p.m. tip-off. Pregame begins at 6:30 on KSL News Radio, and there is so much excitement for this BYU basketball team. Preseason number 8 in the AP Top 25 poll. Highest preseason ranking in program history. They've got a returning star in Richie Saunders, who was first team All Big 12 a season ago. He's back. He was BYU's leading scorer, averaging 16 points a game last season. He's a preseason All Big 12 selection this year. And then you also bring in the heralded superstar, a consensus number 1 recruit, AJ Dybantsa, preseason AP All-American, preseason All Big 12 selection. Dybantsa and Saunders has the potential to be one of the great tandems in BYU basketball history, and it doesn't stop there. Rob Wright from Baylor joins this mix, a heralded guard, one of the best freshman guards in the Big 12 a season ago, dynamic, explosive in the paint. He joins this BYU team. 6 players return from last year's Sweet 16 team under head coach Kevin Young. Last year, BYU was 26-10, reached the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2011. It had been a 14-year drought for BYU before they fell to Alabama in Newark, one of the hot shooting performances that I've ever witnessed in NCAA tournament history. But this roster is deeper, it's more talented, and they've got the potential to go really far this season, maybe even further, potentially the first ever Final Four appearance for this BYU basketball program that has so much tradition, so much history, but they've never broke through and reached the Final Four. Could this be the team? Head coach Kevin Young gives BYU their best opportunity to make history in this program. I caught up with BYU basketball head coach Kevin Young, who enters his second season leading the Cougars. This is my chat with KY here on Cougar Tracks. Here with second-year BYU basketball head coach Kevin Young here at Big 12 Basketball Media Days. And Coach, how are you guys embracing, I know last year expectations, you didn't really worry about that, but now heightened expectations, pick 2 is second in the Big 12 preseason poll. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, I just think it's a testament to what some of our guys who are coming back from last year did, along with the guys we added. So, I'm happy that they got recognized, but at the same time, it doesn't mean a thing. And we've talked about that with the guys. I mean, our recipe is the same as it was last year in terms of how we go about our work. Now, the team's different. Some of the schemes are a little bit different, but in terms of just showing up every day and trying to get better each and every day, that's something that this team has really dug and sunk their teeth into.
How is this team going to change defensively compared to last season?
Well, number one, we just have a lot more guys that can guard one-on-one. I think we'll be able to just keep our man in front of us a little bit more than we did last year, probably have to help a little bit less. And so we're still learning. I'm still learning what that means just for some of the schemes that we like to implement. And being able to adjust given the type of defenders that we have across the board. I think we're a little bit longer. Obviously the foot speed's a little bit better. So I think that's probably where it rears its head the most, but still trying to figure out how that exists within our schemes.
You've got a deep roster once again. Is it safe to assume with the top end talent, maybe not going to go 11-man rotation this year? Would you expect?
I didn't expect to do that last year, so I would have said no then. I'll say no now. We'll see. I think it's a lot of things can impact that. Health being probably the number one thing. But yeah, we do have, I think, some pretty high end, like top end guys that it's going to be hard to get off the floor probably. But we're still working through all that. That's what was that in a weird way. That first exhibition game, it was good. We had 4 guys out, so we could look at some other guys and learn about them. Hoping to have a little bit more bill of health for this next exhibition game, where we can continue to learn about our group. But that's something that it's not you can't get that right overnight. We got to see stuff in real games, and we'll learn along the way.
And to follow up on the health side, Dawson, Nate Pickens are. What is kind of the timeline you're thinking for those guys?
Yeah, I think Dawson's progressing really well. He was in some live stuff yesterday. He's on a good track. Nate's a little bit slower, so we're still, I don't know honestly on him. But Dawson, I'd expect to be out there, in live play, sooner than later.
And AJ Dybantsa and Richie Saunders, 2 first-team All Big 12 guys. Everyone knows everything about these guys. We're waiting to see more on AJ in the college game, but just how excited are you to kind of just show these guys off to the nation, see what they can be on the floor together in games?
Well, number one, I really like coaching both of them. They're extremely hard workers. They both want to be really good, and so that makes it fun to coach them. We can push them. They do what we ask. But it's exciting for them to, not just those 2, but Rob as well, and really our whole group, but just get them to experience playing against other teams and learn and figure each other out. You try to do it against each other in practice, but it's just hard, when you're not going against somebody else. And so, they're extremely talented, and when they come together, that's what I get most excited about people getting ready to see.
Last thing for you, what did it mean to you to get that long-term extension from Brian Santiago? He made that a priority when he got the AD job. So what did that mean to you and your family to, have that long-term extension and get that support from this BYU administration?
It was huge. Brian and I have a great relationship, along with the rest of the leadership at BYU. My wife and I and my kids, we love it in Provo, and we're excited for not only this year but many years to come.
And that's BYU basketball head coach Kevin Young here on Cougar Tracks, a season preview edition of the show. KY is the man. He has the potential to really change the game, not only at BYU, but I believe in all of college basketball. He adapts quickly. He's innovative. He's forward-thinking. He is big time. Cougar Nation should be thrilled to have Kevin Young leading this program, because if anyone can get BYU through to the heights that they've been craving for years, I believe it's Kevin Young to get that done. Let's take our first break in this season preview edition of Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube and KSL News Radio. We'll get to season predictions, roster breakdown, and you'll hear from AJ Dybantsa, Rob Wright, Richie Saunders, and more here on Cougar Tracks. It's powered by KSL Sports. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube page. Mitch Harper with you every single day. Cougar Tracks comes to you live at high noon on the KSL Sports YouTube, and then it's available on all audio podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Pocket Cast, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you're driving and you want to listen on the radio, it's available at 6:30 p.m. nightly on the legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio. So not everyone returned from last year's roster for BYU. They did lose Cannon Catchings, Dallin Hall. He's gone. They also lose Max Triplett, Townsend Triple, and then, of course, also Elijah Crawford and Yegor Demon, NBA first-round pick, who gives BYU a proof of concept that this can be the pipeline to the NBA. When Kevin Young said that in his introductory press conference to prepare athletes for professional basketball, I think there were some that thought, could that really be done? Myself included. I wondered, BYU, pipeline to the NBA? Really? Is that going to happen? Well, it's already happened in year one, and up entering the season, 28 of the 30 NBA franchises have already descended upon Provo throughout the summer and the spring. This BYU basketball team in 2025, 2026 has a lot of NBA eyes on them. And they've got a schedule that's going to be must-see TV for fans of college basketball, but also the NBA as well, with AJ Dybantsa, Richie Saunders, and Rob Wright. 3 guys that next June could be first-round NBA draft picks potentially, and Dybantsa could be the number 1 overall pick among them all. They caught up with reporters at Big 12 Media Day. This is that breakout session, and they first discussed embracing expectations for a season that has so much hype and preseason buzz. How are they handling that? These are Dybantsa, Saunders, and Rob Wright.
Honestly, I feel like it's different. He's talked a lot about blocking out the noise, just focusing on what we got to do to get better. And yeah, honestly, he brought us into the Marriott Center and just showed us a video of KG, of the Beats commercial actually. He talked about, look at this, like all these guys yelling and screaming, whatever. They just, the whole moral of the story, outside stuff does not like impact us internally, which I thought was cool.
AJ, same question. Is that the way you see it as far as expectations go?
Yeah, same thing.
No.
AJ, you played against Darren a few times. What did you see from his game? And talk to me about what makes him a guy that, like you, could be a one-day prospect.
He's tough, man. He's probably one of the better scorers I played against. I take a lot of pride in my defense, but I mean, he just a professional scorer, can score at all 3 levels, makes the right reads.
AJ, how excited are you just as a freshman to come into this league with a lot of great talent and compete against the best?
I mean, I'm a competitor, so I love to compete. That's why I chose this conference. I think it's one of the best, if not the best conference to play in. So I just want to test myself, see where I am.
And what's it been like for you to play with these teammates of yours and to make them better, but to make you better as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. Obviously, we're going at it in practice, going head-to-head in practice. They're making me better, like you said, and I'm making them better.
AJ, how circled is that matchup with Darren in a couple months in the middle of Big 12 play? Is it something you look at, especially when you'll play a bunch of top prospects? How much do you circle those games on the calendar, or is it just next one up?
No, I ain't circling it. I mean, I don't know if he's circling it, but it's just another game for real.
AJ, you're someone that's played at a high level for a long time. What's been the biggest adjustment to the college game?
It's more physical. Even though we played Nebraska a couple of days ago, it's just way more physicality. You got to pay way more attention to detail when you're in college. I kind of built bad habits when I was in high school, so I'm trying to get rid of those now.
AJ, you played in this at some high levels throughout your career. Obviously, you just mentioned the Big 12 being the best conference in America. What makes you that kind of competitor, and what really drives your game?
I think I just grew up being a competitor. Having 2 sisters in the house, I was the only boy, but we used to go at it and a lot of stuff. And just being with my teammates, we'll go play 2K. I'll be competitive, not trying to win every game. It's just kind of still to me.
Has the fit been at BYU been smooth as you expected it when you transferred into this program?
Yeah, it's been super smooth. Having a guy like Richie, who's a returner, he's made it really easy for me. And then KY in the environment has been very welcoming.
How does this system highlight your strengths?
Really just allowing me to play my game, play freely, and just make plays.
AJ, you said you had some bad high school things that you were doing that you're trying to improve yourself up. What exactly were you talking about?
Just taking plays off, just standing up on defense, just being super lackadaisical. I think high school, I was a lot better than a lot of people. So I just started getting super bad habits, which I shouldn't have. But KY's trying to clean it up right now.
Richie, in what ways are you adjusting your game with different personnel around you this year as opposed to last year?
Yeah, I think just the name of the game is using everybody's strengths, and these two and just all of our team has really unique strengths, and just figuring out how that all fits in. It's been good. It's different than last year.
We did the Tater Tot endorsement going on this year. And they're still
well, we're in the talks right now, so TBDs.
Negotiations that have not stalled them?
No, we're good.
Rob, we didn't get to see you in the scrimmage there on campus, so you played in that first half against Nebraska. So just how was it just kind of making your unofficial, BYU debut, and how are you feeling maybe health-wise?
It was my first time playing since March Madness because I didn't get to play in our scrimmages in practice. So, at first it was kind of I was trying to fill out the game and just get out there and get my adrenaline going. But, once I think I got a little layup, and then from there I think it was kind of just clicking for me.
Is playing with these two guys everything you thought it would be?
Yeah, it's everything I thought. They're super talented, hard workers. It's everything I thought it would be.
AJ, what's this like to play alongside a guy like Richie Saunders and Rob Wright? Obviously, Richie has the ability to knock down any shot in the gym. Rob, a crafty playmaker. What's it like to play with these guys?
Yeah, I think it makes all of our jobs easier because they can't really, I don't think you're going to be able to really defend all three of us. Like, I think Rob's ability to get in the paint and make decisions. Like, if you can get in the paint and you can spray out to Richie, knock it down, or if I'm driving, you got to make a decision, either help off the corner or you're not. I just think it'll be really hard to stop us three.
Rob, when Coach says you're shutting out the noise, and Richie said the same thing, what does that entail? Is that like no social media? What extent does that go to?
It's more so just trying to not listen to the outside noise. I mean, everyone knows we're a preseason top 10 team, so just trying to be locked in and knowing we have to get better if we want to be the team that's winning at the end of the season.
AJ, there's just been so much excitement about your high school class, you and Cam Boozer and Darren and guys like that for several years now. I guess, how competitive have you been with those guys to try to be the number one guy? And what's it like now walking into the college environment with all of you guys ready to kind of take center stage?
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I've been playing with those guys. I mean, we all want to go a medal our freshman year, but it's very competitive. I think we're one of the better freshman classes to come in my opinion. But we're very competitive. I mean, we're friends off the court, but when we're trying to get on the court, we go after.
You guys talk about blocking out the outside noise. How do you guys keep the main thing the main thing?
I think it's just the love for the game. At a young age, you love basketball, but I think it's just continuing to find what your love is in that piece and just going out there and just hooping and just forgetting about everything else, just having fun while you're on the court.
Yeah. I've talked to some other guys. They talk about just shutting off their social media so they don't have to, watch or look at if you have a bad game or things like that. What's your philosophy on that?
I mean, I did it. I did it to start the season. Not the season, but to start the school year, I deleted it for a month. I was off all social medias. And I have like a team that runs a lot of stuff to keep my, my brand what it is still. But I try to block it off sometimes, trying to pay attention to it.
Is there a person, just for both of you guys, is there a person that, that you're leaning on the most for what they're saying to you, things like that?
For me, probably just coach, just trying to pick his brain because, he's seen guys at the highest level. He coached a guy like Chris Paul, and that's one of the persons I look up to and try to model my game after. So just trying to listen to him and just knowing that he has a vision for me.
Rob, how beneficial was that to go to Chris Paul's camp this summer, and what kind of advice did CP3 give about KY and all things like that?
I went to his camp in high school too, but to go now and have kind of a relationship with KY, it was really good. He was just telling me just about competing on both ends and how important that was. I feel like last year I didn't always do that at the highest level, but I think this year I'm more locked in and dialed on it.
Richie, what are the personalities like in this locker room? He was like the funny guy on the team. Like, what do you guys like away from the court when you're not competing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Moo is sneaky funny. Kennard Davis, man, he's quiet at first, but he's hilarious.
So Moo Davis, he's a funny guy, but also a guy that sounds defensive. Like he's going to be a pretty good player for you guys too.
100%. I don't think he gets enough credit, but we haven't played many games, so everybody will see that.
Richie, what are practices this year like opposed to last year with so much of the talent infusion?
Sure. There's just been so much playing. What we got to do is figure out how to play together. And so that's when we're 5 months of just honestly just playing together, offensively, defensively, getting to know each other.
KY talks about how he's not a big fan of practices. Does he give you guys some days, quite a bit of days off to where you can get off your feet and take some breaks?
Relatively. We get after it. But he's logical. He's logical about the way he does stuff.
AJ, for you, maybe you've already been asked this, but what has the transition been like from high school to college? Do you feel like you've jumped right in and everything's smooth, or is there anything that you just had to adjust to, even if it's a little bit?
There's been some bumps in the road. Definitely just getting adjusted to physicality, getting adjusted to just being more locked in on film, being more locked in on when to get your shots, post-practice work, treatment, everything. I got to be more locked in.
AJ, we saw you at the football game right after the exhibition game. Are you really buying into that college experience? Is that part of it? Why you're, taking part in all that?
Yeah, I'm in college, so I'm trying to get the college experience. My sister was telling me, she's older, so she was like, when you get to college, try to do a lot of stuff that you could do. So I'm in the student section, I'm in the ROC. I'm just trying to do everything. I'm in person classes. I'm really trying to just get the college experience.
I was going to ask you about those in-person classes. Back when Jimmer was a thing, he literally couldn't go to class because it was too big of a distraction. Are you a distraction at all, or what's a typical day like?
We got class. I'm in class on time. I'm not like too big of a distraction. Like I sit front row, we all locked in. The students like behind me aren't really like too bothering, so we're fine.
For AJ and Rob, what's been the biggest adjustment to life in Provo and BYU for you guys?
Probably just the fan environment, just how crazy it is. Going to the Holy War was probably like my first football rivalry game, so just seeing how crazy it was and how like much the fans are behind the school is pretty interesting.
Are you AJ?
Yeah, just it's exciting to see how many like members the church that we have. Like even on the away games, like we went to Nebraska and we had a pretty good amount of BYU fans there, so it's just exciting, and we have a big fan base.
Two or three more questions for these guys. AJ, I don't know, you're in Kansas City, obviously a big barbecue town. What is your plate? Like if you have barbecue right now, what's got to be on it?
Might touch brisket or a pulled pork sandwich, mac and cheese, and I might go barbecue beans on it.
Rob, what did you learn about the Big 12 in your first season of college basketball?
Probably just how physical it was and how every game is like a one-possession game, and just trying to take advantage of just those little possessions and just come into every game locked in, no matter if it's a bottom seed team or we're the best team in the league.
Last question.
Richie, you've got a lot of life experience, obviously been on a mission, been through a lot of college basketball. Are you like shepherding these guys at all? Are you kind of showing them the ropes of Provo?
Yeah, that's a good question. They already know what they're doing, though. They already know what they're doing. But no, that's a funny question. Again, they know what they're doing.
You took them to Chomberger though already, right?
they've been there. I already know they've been there. Live there, huh?
What are the other spots in Provo that you guys go to, like to go eat and stuff that you enjoy?
Station 22 is good. Shout out to Station 22.
Pizzeria 712.
Yeah, Pizzeria 712. They take care of us for sure.
And there you go. That's BYU basketball players Richie Saunders, AJ Dybantsa, and Rob Wright, the headliners, the top three guys for this BYU basketball team. And it raises thoughts when I look at some maybe superlatives of this roster. Best player, you either go Richie Saunders or AJ Dybantsa. I think you got to default to AJ Dybantsa, though, because if BYU wants to reach a Final Four, AJ has to be spectacular. Think back to the summertime when he talked with Kevin Durant. I think it was maybe in the spring. Kevin Durant gave AJ some advice about navigating the Big 12. Does he want to be a KD, a Blake Griffin, a Cade Cunningham, Trae Young, one of the best players in college basketball as a freshman, take over the Big 12 and be the guy? If BYU wants to reach those heights of a Final Four potentially, I think Dybantsa's got to be the best player. Sleeper on this year's team, Hadim Boop, 6'9", redshirt freshman. I think he's relentless, and he's going to have an impact for this team. He's probably going to be in this rotation, I would expect. I thought he was great in the blue and white scrimmage earlier this month, and I think he's shown well in the exhibition games as well. Best defender on this BYU team, Kennard Moo Davis. I'm excited about Moo Davis. Comes in from Southern Illinois. A lot of excitement about him. When I asked AJ Dybantsa last week about players that people on the outside are sleeping on, and the first name he did bring up was Moo Davis. He brought up a lot of other guys too, but Moo Davis is going to be really good for this BYU team, and I think he brings a lot of versatility on the defensive end that maybe last year's team was lacking. Think back to last season, BYU defensively, scoring defense, 196 nationally, 72.6 points allowed a season ago. I expect BYU is going to be much better defensively this year, and a big reason for that is guys like Kennard Moo Davis. Best shooter, Richie Saunders. And Richie's been a little bit of a slow start, you could say. That exhibition game against North Carolina, Richie was 2 of 9 from 3, 4 of 12 from the field. A little bit of a feeling out. I think there's an adjustment to not being the number one guy as he was last year and being someone to kind of figure out this new role in games. And I think that's why it was so valuable to have those exhibition contests against Nebraska and against North Carolina to go into the regular season feeling like, okay, this is where we've got to adjust. But at the end of the day, Richie Saunders is an elite shooter. He is going to knock down a lot of threes for this BYU team. And another guy that I think is going to be improved, and this factors into guys that were from last season. You could make a case it's Richie Saunders here too. But Mihailo Boskovic, I think Mihailo is due for a more impactful role this season. You know, he's never had a shot that he didn't like, but I think there's going to be better shot decisions there from Mihailo this year. And I would expect a greater impact on this year's team, more consistent role from Mihailo Boskovic this season. He's been kind of a slept-on name that no one has talked about this year, but I'm very excited to see what he can do. 6'10", one of the tallest guys on the team. The tallest guy on the team is Xavier Staten, 6'11", from Las Vegas. Very intrigued to see what role he has coming off the bench in relief of Akeba Keita, how they utilize him because his length is off the charts. Xavier Staten is going to be a really good player for BYU. He's got a bright future ahead. Let's take our final break. On the other side, I'll get to some season predictions, break down the schedule as it's a BYU basketball season preview edition here on Cougar Tracks on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports YouTube page. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on KSL News Radio, your legacy home of the Cougars and KSL Sports YouTube. I am your BYU insider, Mitch Harper. So BYU basketball tips off the season Monday night in Las Vegas against Villanova. I will be there in Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena in Sin City. First meeting between BYU and Villanova since 1984. There's no easy games out of the chute like last year. Last year's schedule, there were 5 duds where it's just like you could roll out anything and you're going to win those games and start out 5-0. This year, you got to bring your best right away. And I love that, you know, Brian Santiago, Chris Burgess, Kevin Young, this staff, they said they wanted to level up the non-conference scheduling because last year, despite the great record, BYU was capped at a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. This team is chasing, you know, maybe a 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, somewhere in that ballpark, and that gives you a better odds and better path to potentially reaching a Final Four. And you look at this schedule, though, and I think you're going to learn a lot about this BYU team, but I think with this schedule, I'm going to say BYU goes 11-2 in non-conference play. The losses, I'd probably say UConn and then maybe a combination of maybe Wisconsin, maybe Clemson, somewhere in there. There's going to be another loss. It's so hard to darn near run the table because some nights you have an off night. And I think an underrated piece to BYU's non-conference schedule, the matchups are awesome. A lot of travel, though. Multiple time zone games, excessive travel for this team. How do they handle that? Very curious to see that. But that BYU-UConn game, Saturday, November 15th, you can listen to that game here on KSL. It'll be a 5 p.m. tip-off, 4 p.m. pregame that day. Hopefully it doesn't conflict with football with BYU and TCU. Hopefully the Cougs in football play a late-night game against TCU, but that is going to be must-see TV. BYU and UConn, I cannot wait for that. The Clemson game in Madison Square Garden, Miami on Thanksgiving, out in Orlando. Awesome schedule. And it's the perfect challenge, too, for this team that feels they can be among the great teams in college basketball this season. So they understood the moment and scheduled up because when BYU joined the Big 12, they were looking to schedule wins. And these past 2 years, that was the approach in non-conference. A lot of it was pre-scheduled from the previous staff, and Kevin Young inherited that. And this year, they leveled it up, and I'm really excited to see. It's unfortunate they can't get some other power conference programs to come to the Marriott Center. Yes, you got the Big 12 schedule, which is electric. It's going to be awesome. But it'd be awesome to see Wisconsin in the Marriott Center. But they got to default to the Delta Center, and that works out just fine. In Big 12 play, 18-game schedule this year, not 20 games like last season. Smart move by the Big 12. Schedule more opportunities in non-conference to take out other power leagues and boost the metrics and resumes so you're not beating up yourself in conference play. I've got BYU going around 14-4 in Big 12 play, and going into the season, I've got them finishing second in the Big 12. That's where the coaches poll had them too. Houston's a juggernaut, and I'm curious to see how they perform this season with some new faces in that starting five with Chris Senack, who's going to be a heralded freshman and a star in the Big 12. But Houston's kind of ran the gamut on the Big 12 where they've dominated by multiple games. Typically, that doesn't happen. Usually 3, 4, 5 losses can sometimes win the Big 12. I think BYU's going to be hovering, though. I think they're going to have a chance to be in the mix to win the Big 12. And I've got BYU finishing 25-6 in the regular season. And I'm going to say that's going to be good enough for a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. If we think this non-conference schedule is as tough as it's going to be, potentially, if that holds up, I think 25-6 can get you the 2 seed line, which would be the highest seed in program history. The highest that BYU's ever had is a 3 seed twice in program history. So a 2 seed would make history for the Cougars. And it's hard to forecast where BYU will end up or any team will end up in March until you see an actual bracket. But I really believe BYU's got the tools to be a Final Four team this year. I really do. And maybe even good enough to get to Monday night and have a chance to climb the Werner ladder and cut down the nets. I think this BYU team is balanced. I don't want to try to get all blue goggled and say they've arrived and this is going to be a coronation season for BYU hoops, but I just love how this roster was constructed with great guard play. You've got size in the front court, explosive front court with a guy like Keba Keita, who so underrated, but he returns. He was a leading rebounder last season for BYU, 7.9 boards per game. I mean, on any given night, he could get you a dozen rebounds with ease. Keita is spectacular on the glass, and he never wavered. He always was planning to run it back for BYU in his senior season. I'm really looking forward to see what jumps Keita takes in his evolution this season. I also just think, too, that the offense is going to be good. I think it's going to be one of the best offenses in college basketball. But as I noted earlier, the underrated piece to this team is, I think, defensively and the options that they have. Now, they've got to get healthy. As you heard in that interview with Kevin Young a little bit earlier, Nate Pickens, timeline's a little bit longer, kind of to be determined on him, because you kind of look at him as a senior and say that could be your backup point guard to Rob Wright. Dawson Baker's someone that, if he's healthy, he's someone that Kevin Young trusts to be a bucket getter for this team. BYU's got so many options. But ultimately, though, AJ Dybantsa, Richie Saunders, and Rob Wright have to carry this thing. And they've got the luxury of having a handful of guys that, could be the star on a given night, but more times than not, those three have to be elite for BYU. And I think they will. What you've seen so far from AJ Dybantsa, 30 points in his first college game in an exhibition against Nebraska. His ability to just find a way to get to the line. I don't think BYU's ever had a player in program history that will be able to draw contact and fouls and get to the line like Dybantsa. And this is a team that, unlike last year where KY and his staff had to draw up so many different sets and looks for this team to get shots off, and the spacing was so key for this group, this year it doesn't have to be that way all the time. Dybantsa can just go get you a bucket. Same with Rob Wright. And Richie, too. This is a talented team. And I think what's interesting to me about this BYU squad is that they're going to go up against a lot of great teams in college basketball this year. But at no point in any matchup do you feel like BYU is outclassed in terms of personnel, in terms of resources, in terms of staff. Everything is there for BYU to compete with the who's who in the sport. Now it's just a matter of making it happen and do it and go out and perform at a high level. And so far, Kevin Young has delivered these proof of concepts that have been translating to actual results for this BYU team. And It's pretty exciting to see. Now, there's going to be some adversity along the way. Last year's team, it was not always smooth sailing for this BYU team. I remember they were down, 14 points at Colorado, had a huge 39-6 run that really changed the fortunes of the season. It hasn't always been smooth sailing. At some point, this team will face adversity, and I'm really curious to see how this group responds to that, because I thought that locker room last year was a strength for that team that to reach the Sweet 16. This year's team's got more talent. There's no doubt about that. But that locker room and bringing everything together, that's going to be important, I think, for Kevin Young to coach that. And he's acknowledged that too, because talent-wise on the court product, there's no denying the potential and the talent and the ability of this team and the way that KY coaches in game. I mean, that's when he's digging into his bag and he's at his best, because I'm sure he's tired of the grind of all these practices. Like, let's get to the games already and get on with it. And so that's when KY is at his best. But, I mean, he's always been doing some great things this entire year for BYU. And since he took this job, he's really reinvented the program of how people look at BYU basketball nationally. It's an exciting time for Cougar Hoops, and it's going to be an incredible season to follow, and we'll be covering it every step of the way here on Cougar Tracks, and you can listen to all of the games here on KSL News Radio. But that's going to do it for this edition of Cougar Tracks. We'll be back tomorrow, and then again, Monday night, Cougs and Wildcats, BYU Villanova, tip-off at 7:30 from Vegas, pregame at 6:30 right here on KSL News Radio. Talk to you tomorrow here on Cougar Tracks.